members here. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. And let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Put your right hand over your shoulder. Yeah. Your heart. Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right, Linda, let's go with a roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Rodriguez.
Here.
Trustee Jackson Miller.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Friedman.
Present.
Trustee Donnelly.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as it stands?
I'll make the motion. Carolyn.
Carolyn first. Second?
Sure, I'll second Amanda.
Amanda. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as it stands?
There's a couple of resolutions in there.
Right. Yeah, I have that noted. So we'll do a roll call after.
I move to accept.
Okay. So, is there a second?
Sure, I'll second Amanda.
Amanda. Okay, Phil, Amanda. Okay. So with that, let's move on to roll call for the resolutions that are in there. I think there's a couple of them, right?
Yes.
You're muted, Linda.
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Trustee Jackson Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Friedman.
Aye.
Trustee Donnelly.
Aye. Great. Okay. Public communications. Do we have anything? Anybody out there? Public communications with anything that's not on the agenda?
I don't have anything on text.
And nothing
Okay.
on email.
No one on Zoom.
All right. Okay, let's move on to standing reports. Let's see, we have, I guess we'll start with Michelle.
Good evening, everybody.
You're right there next to me, see it.
I hope everybody's start of their summer is turning nice, except for 101-degree weather up here.
Oh, wow.
I know, killer. But it's been a fairly quiet couple of weeks, especially with school ending on May 28th and before the Memorial Day weekend for us in business. It's been very nice. We've had a little of extra cushion to start closing up the books early. So we've really been focusing on that, closing up all of our POs and shoring things up and working with summer school and ESY to get the ball rolling with them for anything they need. And so that's mainly been our focus. I did have a very productive meeting with Climate Tech again, and are continuing work with them. And on our next board meeting on July 14th, I'll be bringing, Climate Tech will be joining us for a proposal for the board to hear the work that we've been working on and laying out the projects that we have in place, talking about the funding options that we have available to us to get the project rolling. Some of they sent me some notes here for you guys. And oops, wait, I lost it. Hold on. Oh, man. Sorry about that. I lost it. Okay. Some of the things that we're going to be working on, what we had originally talked about was when we had met, our main focus was on the electrical and HVAC upgrades because they do go hand in hand. You can't really do one without the other. And that will be our main focus. But with the funding options that we're looking at and the possibility of a municipal lease and, our rates being so extraordinarily low right now, and our funding source that we have coming in through our RDA on an ongoing basis to supplement that on the back end, they've been able to put together a pretty comprehensive package that can encompass multiple projects at one time. So we are looking at resilient energy sources, specifically at New Brighton. They are a Red Cross. We are a Red Cross center at New Brighton. So to be able to have a resilient energy source there has been really important. One of the other big projects that is really needed is the upgrade on the windows at New Brighton and their replacement. The energy loss for those windows alone is extraordinary, and the inability to open them and get that fresh breeze in there in a lot of those old windows. So that's a huge component. And then looking at our solar options at each of the sites and some additional shade that we can offer through the solar program. So that's all kind of encompassed in the whole package. And Robert and Tyler will be on with us at the next meeting, kind of give you guys more of a more comprehensive look. And then in our August meeting, we'll be bringing the proposal for you guys. So that's kind of my bag for this week.
Thank you. And you mentioned Red Cross.
New Brighton is a Red Cross center for Capitola. In like an
Is
emergency.
is that emergency center or is that for donations?
Emergency center, emergency. Red
Okay,
Cross center.
okay, all right, great.
So just quickly, are we thinking about cooling centers?
No, but that's actually a good option. One of the things we did talk about specifically at New Brighton with the sustainable energy was the pack and the ability to have the energy up and the running in the pack for internet and electricity if it went down, due to a disaster. But as a cooling center, that's definitely another option.
I'm thinking the gardens.
Oh goodness, yeah. Well, one of the great part of this whole package, which I'm not going to lie, has been my goal now for the last 3 years, is to get HVAC up at the gardens in all of those buildings. And so this package will encompass that. So they'll have their MU room will finally be, and their library and the office and all those areas will finally have adequate air conditioning.
Okay, so since Phil brought it up, what is a cooling center?
They're pretty prevalent right today. Actually, that was just on the news. It's just areas for the public to be able to go to where the electricity's up, air conditioning is running. You can offer them water in a cool place.
Okay, on days we don't have fog. All right. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Jessica, hi.
Hello, thank you. It's great to see everyone again. Hopefully your summer is off to a great start. I can say in our district, summer is off to a great start with summer school. We're serving across the district approximately 120 students in session 1. And that doesn't include ESY. So probably combined, we're serving 150 students in this first session and at least equal to that amount for session 2. So we're hoping to achieve kind of the interaction of instruction and opportunity gain for approximately 300 students this summer. That's our goal. But it has been really, really busy in the Ed Services Department with staffing and curriculum development and additional curriculum, some assessment additions and resources. So it's been really, really busy, but all really great work to be done. I will save most of my update though for something that's actually a requirement, and it has to do with an update to the board with regard to local indicators, which is different in years past. And so this local indicator update is required to be done as part of a non-consent item at a regularly scheduled meeting with the governing board on the day that we request adoption of our LCAP. And it's really, this is just a brief update intended to serve to report to the board the results of our assessment on our local indicators, since the typical data collection since COVID is not necessarily something that we could do. So as you know, Senate Bill 98 was written in response to COVID-19 and school closures. In that bill, it was established that in December of 2020, we weren't reporting dashboard results in the area of local indicators. However, in the spring of 2021, the local indicators were used, and they were used by our district specifically in 2 areas. First, we used the state's suggested self-reflection tool to measure local indicator progress. And second, to use that data as a consideration when developing our District 2021-22 LCAP. And so as you read the LCAP last 2 weeks ago, and it was, kind of up for public view, I'm sure that you noticed that there was a lot of data that was collected to produce that document, but it also included a lot of the elements of data collection for the self-reflection tool that I'm talking about. Those local indicators haven't changed in the past years. Really, what LEAs or school districts look for are 1, the basic conditions for learning, 2, implementation of academic state standards, parent and family engagement, school climate, a broad course of study. And those are all things that have existed in past years. They exist now, and they're all still really important. In our self-reflection using the state suggested tool, it indicated that our local indicators were met based on the metrics and the data that we could collect during the time of school closure. And we're happy to be able to report that through our LCAT. And we've also reported that through our California dashboard. So the dashboard doesn't have the breadth that it's had in years past. We used to have those little boxes with the dials, and there was lots of information on that dashboard. This year, it's a little bit different. You'll see a note at the top with the report for our school district that'll say that we've taken a look at this reflection tool and that all of the data that we've collected has been considered as part of our LCAT. So I'm proud to announce that we've met those local indicators, and hopefully when you read the LCAP, you could see the breadth of work that was done with regard to that. So that is my local indicator update to the board tonight.
Thank you, Jessica. Scott.
Thank you, Ted. Just a few things to echo after hearing Michelle and Jessica, and then a couple of things to add. One, I'm so pleased with the work that we have going on with Climate Tech that Michelle mentioned. This is that part of the work that is a little bit less visible, maybe a little bit less exciting, but equally important to the work we did back when we did Measure C and all the exciting new buildings. This is really the behind the wall type of work, but it's so important, as Michelle mentioned, like the air conditioning at the gardens and the windows at New Brighton, just to name a couple, and the possibility of having solar and getting greener. It's really exciting to be doing that work, even if it's not as visibly out there. So I want to thank Michelle for her leadership on that. Summer school, just so proud. I hope we're all proud of being in a district that is doing more than the minimum, right? It's not necessary to offer 2 4-week sessions of summer school after the year that we've had. And but just very grateful for Jessica's leadership in leading us to do way more than the minimum and offering students lots of opportunities for enrichment and opportunities to accelerate their learning. And her and Jackie have just done amazing work behind the scenes to basically recreate 4 schools in a different setting in summer school. So very grateful and very proud of that. A couple of other things, if you haven't been on our website lately, George and his team of webmasters have been updating the website, cleaning things up. Nice to see a little less emphasis on COVID when you go on there. And also some new pictures, some of the new buildings and such. So thank you, George and team, for giving us a great public image out there. Also just want to give kudos to Sandy and Sandra and Human Resources, because this time of year is always super busy, and it's even more so this year following such an irregular year. Lots of hiring going on, lots of staffing, and getting us all set up for success for next year. Of course, everybody heard, or at least got a summary on the news or something, of Governor Newsom's update yesterday, and the less than gradual reopening of California. And so now it's for schools, we really kind of take a look at all of the different guiding agencies on this, from Cal OSHA on the worker side, and of course from Department of Public Health, which are hopefully lining up somewhat with CDC. And right now we're just kind of taking a wait and see approach. And when we think about the fall and beginning the new school year. And we'll get further and further clarification. So trying not to jump to any reactions or opinions or conclusions yet, kind of letting things come out, shake out a little bit, and then we'll make sure we have a plan to abide by all the guidelines that we have to, and hope that things continue to trend in the positive direction, where we can have something closer and closer to normal operations at school. Finally, I'd just like to say thank you to both our labor groups, SEA and CSEA. We are in the process of having negotiation sessions either during the summer or right when school starts in August, so that we can hit the ground running with any contract updates and any financial decisions that are to be made. So very exciting to not be waiting on that, but having a proactive approach and hitting the ground running with it. And that is my update for tonight.
Thank you, Scott. Do we have anybody from CSEA?
I don't think so.
No one
Okay.
on Zoom.
How about SEA?
Not tonight, I don't think.
There's not a long line out there. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's move on to the trustees. Who wants to jump in? I'll jump in. I have nothing to report out on. I'll make it easy. Solar is great. I think that, and also actually one thing is Lisa and I went for a walk through New Brighton when I had to go pick up the papers some papers I forgot to sign. And I took her through New Brighton to show her the new buildings, and then there was a comment about the old windows. So it's good to hear that we're going to get them replaced, and then solar is great, and I've always been hoping for solar, so I think that's great as well too. So, and then the soccer field too, we stood in the middle of the field going, yeah, we could put a soccer field here. So we'll start that tomorrow. Anyways, next on the list, anybody want to jump in?
I have nothing to report.
Really? Okay.
I'll go
Amanda?
ahead. I attended the Racial Justice Task Force, and I know that's an item later on. So that's it from me.
Okay, I found my unmute button. On Monday night of this week, I attended the COE's town hall. I think I saw a couple of our teachers in there, or whoever chose to type in. It was one of those kind of a lot of people attending, but you type your name in the chat box because you couldn't see all of the attendees. But so it was to present the annual report, and but it was about, student support and resilience during a global pandemic in the last year. So annual report by the COE, and which I'm sure many of you read and are very familiar with, but it was a really nice presentation. Dr. Sabah, as usual, did a really fantastic job reporting out, and then also bringing in other folks to report about, oh my gosh, Wendy Barron, is her name correct? Wendy Barron spoke, and some other folks leading, just really important work for our community and our students. And then we also got to hear the student voice, which is always the highlight. So if they end up sending a link or posting it on their website, I recommend watching it. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Jen?
Hi, I attended both of those meetings that Carolyn and Amanda referred to, and I have nothing else to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. With that, let's move on to our presentations and discussion, which is regarding the racial justice and educational equity. Blah, blah. I forgot to do that before tonight. My blah blah blah. Ron Burgundy lip exercise. Okay, Sky, go ahead. Sorry.
It's hard to follow Ron Burgundy, Ted, but I'll try. So as previously mentioned, we had our last official Racial Justice Task Force meeting. And I say official because the idea is to, engage with that team in the coming years about the plan that will be developed from their work. So it's not like they just go by the wayside, but they won't be meeting in this kind of capacity that they have been this past year. And before I get into the meat, just like to say again, I'm so grateful for everybody who gave up their time for those meetings. We didn't pay anybody. It was all on a volunteer basis. The meetings were at night, and not only were they well attended, but more importantly, the engagement was extremely high. And so everybody on that task force, just thank you. Thank you for walking the walk on this important work. So the last few meetings of the task force have been mostly dedicated to subcommittee work. And the subcommittees are around staffing and discipline and curriculum. And so the committees met with support from our two leaders, Cole Anderson and Dr. Shelley Holt. And then each committee came back out to the whole group and gave a report. And even though they're different focus areas, it was quite clear that the goals and the overall approach were very similar through all three subcommittees, and that's really to build more inclusive practices in all of those areas. Inclusive practices that capitalize on a strengths-based model of all students. And so the next steps with those committees is Nicole and Dr. Holt will take their work and kind of formalize it into a equity action plan that we'll bring to you in the fall. We'll bring to the board in the fall, and that can really serve as a guiding force for us. And I think can serve as a guiding force more than just like, a narrow strip of equity, but can help really guide all the work that we do to make sure that everything is infused with equity. So we have that to look forward to. And of course, as mentioned, two of our board members attended the last meeting, and I think we can all feel very confident about the details of the plan that we'll receive and being able to follow up on actionable items, which is from the very start of this. I remember when we did hopes and fears when the task force started, and there was one common overriding fear, and it was that this would be kind of like a superficial approach, kind of a 1 year, one and done, check the box, now we feel good about ourselves kind of thing. And I think we can feel confident that we avoided that fear of becoming a reality, because this plan will give us a lot of meat to focus on for years to come, as I said. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to bringing you that plan in the fall. And I'll open it up now for comments, either from our board members that attended the meeting, or of course from any board members' comments and questions.
Actually, any of you that attended the meeting, is there anything you want to add, or well, anything you want to add, I guess? I think Scott covered it, so.
Yeah, thank Scott. That was a great summary. So I don't know if there's anything I can say that will be new information, but I really appreciated the discussions. And like you said, there was a lot of overlap in the different subcommittees in terms of the areas that they identified as requiring our attention. So that's good that even though people are focused on a particular area, just in terms of the big picture, we understand that really there's going to be some elements that, regardless of how you look at the problem, that we will have to deal with. So that was good to see. And it was great to see how after a long and rich discussion, they were able to just distill a summary of the main goals and areas of focus. That was well done, not an easy thing to do. And I spend most of my time listening to the discipline subcommittee conversation, even though I did manage to listen to all three subcommittees. But one of the big things that they were discussing was engagement of the community and all stakeholders. So I thought that was really great, including student voices. I thought that was important as
Well,
well.
good, yeah.
That's it for me.
You know, I was looking at the list and having 23 people on a task force. Usually you don't have 23 people, maybe a quarter of that. And it sounds like it was quite productive with 23 people there on the task force. And I assume they were all in the meeting together. You had a screen of 23 people.
So generally, yes. So when we started at the beginning of the year, it was mostly whole group. Towards the end of the year, as I said, the majority of the time was broken up into breakout rooms for
Okay.
each of the three subcommittees. But we did at every meeting spend some time on the screen, and we didn't take attendance, but I think it's safe to say that there was always, you know, I would say between 18 and 20. You know, there were instances where there were some conflicts, but the majority were there. And yeah, I agree with you. Usually a task force is not that big.
I know.
It speaks to the
That's
dedication
great.
of people in this district. I probably could have doubled that if we wanted to get, you know, risk being unwieldy.
Mhm.
And also just the wide representation. You know, we
Right.
always try to involve parents. We always try to get the parent voice. We always try to get the classified voice. But just the way this task force came together, I think was uniquely reflective of multiple voices. And it almost seemed like everybody was able to kind of drop their hat that they came in with for those meetings. And we just talked as people in the community that wanted a school that embraced equity.
Right.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, Scott. And I've only attended every other meeting in the rotating seat that I have, but the level of trust that was there with this group from day one, and you know, particularly doing this all on Zoom, you know, which can be harder in a lot of ways than face-to-face interaction. But people really did. No one was coming in with a agenda, or again, kind of attached to whatever hat they came in with. Just people really were all sharing in such a valuable way. So yeah, again, just very, very grateful for the work. I'm really, really looking forward to the report, and certainly willing, just want to throw it out there that, you know, whatever follow-up work we as a board need to do with our piece, definitely open to us doing that in the form of a workshop or something that requires, you know, more time than that's within the constraints of a regular board meeting. Because I know that our last meeting as a group, probably, you know, what's the thing where it's okay to leave without feeling a sense of closure, or whatever that one agreement is that I can't even restate right now. But I know we've still got other stuff to do as far as our equity statement, et cetera. So looking forward to continuing the work.
Comfortable with non-closure. We certainly got good at that, didn't we?
I know. I think of George Costanza, you know, you got to run back and have that last word. So no, that's great. That's a great leave on. Anybody else have anything to jump in on or comments? If Jen.
Great. It was just great summary. Yeah, it was wonderful to be a part of it, and look forward to the report and more. Thank you.
Phil.
So a couple of things. One is, in order to memorialize this, can we put it this on our governance calendar somewhere? And it's up to you guys to decide where, what month or something like that. And then as far as thank yous go, I think along with a thank you, there should be some kind of recognition. And I don't know if we would want to send a letter to all our task force and committee members for all the committees that we've had going for the last year now, and just let them know, you know, it's great to do this in a meeting and stuff like that, but it's kind of nice getting something in the mail, you unfold it and it says you're awesome. So just, that's it for me.
So Phil, you mentioned something here, governance calendar. What is it?
Yeah, so I think I understood that. If I can paraphrase Phil to make sure I got it.
Sure.
You know, we have our governance calendar that we update at the beginning of every school year, which kind of benchmarks the big items that board meetings will cover throughout the
Okay.
year. And perhaps this would be a worthy addition to that. Makes sense to me. When we bring it to the board in the fall, we can talk about where to place that on that governance calendar.
So when we talk, when we say fall, is it going to be before October?
I think we'll have it in August. I was kind of
That's still summer.
couching it a little bit just in case we needed till September.
Okay, okay.
You called my
So
bluff.
okay.
That.
I know. So we're going to look forward to, in August. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, but at that
Okay.
time, I'll recommend a time, a place to put it on that calendar. I think it's a great idea. Anything we can do that makes it a regular topic of conversation, I think just makes it more real and more part of what we do.
Perfect. Okay. All right. I think it covered all of us unless I missed somebody. Nope. Okay. Do we have anything from the public?
Nothing on text.
Nothing on email.
Nothing on Zoom.
All right. Very good. All right. Thanks, Scott, for the update. Let's move on to our action items, which is going to be 6A, which is adopting the district's local control and LCAP, or LCAP, and that has to be Jessica. Right? Am I right?
Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I am so excited to be able to present this as an action item. I know 2 weeks ago we had a presentation that included the annual update and the new LCAP for the upcoming 3 years, and we had such rich dialogue about it. There were some adjustments that were made to not the annual update, but the LCAP itself. There were lots of acronyms, and for a person in my work, those acronyms are well known. For the general public, they are not. So we did attempt to make some adjustments in the way of explaining some of those acronyms. So those are really not substantive changes, but educational changes to the document. So we hope that you took note of those. And thank you to Linda, because we know that the adoption of an LCAP includes 2 parts. It includes the new LCAP and the annual update. And so thank you to Linda for posting that appropriately. So at this time, I am requesting the consideration for the adoption of the LCAP.
All right. Are there any clarifying questions from the board? If not, anything from the public?
There's nothing on text.
Nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
Very good. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the LCAP plan for Soquel Elementary School District?
Sure, I will make the motion. Thank you, Jessica.
Amanda made the motion. Is there a second on the
I'll
floor?
second. Carolyn?
Carolyn, okay. And let's see, this is not a resolution. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Thank you. Let's go to 6B. We're gonna consider, what's that? Okay.
I just said thank you.
Oh, all right, great. Consider approval of the 21-22 final adopted budget for Soquel Elementary School District. And that must be, let's guess, Michelle.
I'll take it. I'm pretty darn proud of this budget.
Yeah, you are, I bet.
I presented the budget to the board 2 weeks ago as well. There have been no changes to the budget in and of itself or any of the supporting documents that were attached. Per educational code, after the board has adopted the LCAP, we need to adopt the budget, and the budget can substantially sustain all items in the LCAP, which we've done a crosswalk and presented to the COE for their approval. The only one thing I wanted to touch base on with just a few minutes was in our last board meeting, I had inadvertently given the wrong multi-year projections, and on page 200 of the current docket is the full-blown all multi-year projections that encompasses everything. And just a couple of quick notes on that. There is a substantial difference in our ending fund balance from what I presented at second interim, and clearly from a year ago where I thought we were going to be, we're in our third year out, we were a negative fund balance. So in this representation, as you know, what's most important is the yellow highlighted line. It's our unassigned ending fund balance, which takes out our 3% mandated reserve for uncertainty. And then in the 2021 year, we have a projected roughly 1.2 million in restricted reserves going into the new year. And the bulk of that, about $1 million of that, is federal ESSER funding that we received in the current year that's carrying over into the next year, which would not be a component of unassigned funds. So we're putting that aside, and the additional $200,000, as you can see from year over year, that relies on that same restricted line, is budgeted for future adoptions and technology upgrades in the out years. So we're projected to end at 1.1 million of unassigned fund balance in the current year, and then almost $2 million for every year for the next 3 years. And the bulk of that is definitely consisting of the fact of the mega COLA that the governor has proposed, but is yet still to be approved by Congress or Senate, sorry. And so once that's been approved, then we'll move forward with that. Also, the out years have a projected COLA. This does take into account, as you can tell, that we are deficit spending, even with our substantial ending fund balance with our one-time monies. And right now, there's a good possibility that the unemployment rate will be brought down from the 1.23% to the 0.5%, which will be a pretty significant difference for us in our budget. And there is talk of relief for pension reform in the out years for PERS and STRS. So those things are not encompassed in this budget. They are only going to make the budget better, but for being conservative, they are not currently budgeted. And as I had mentioned, I have projected 10 enrollment up, so 10 student enrollment up year over year, but I've kept our ADA flat. And so in all likelihood, our ADA will continue to rise in the out years, but to be conservative, I left it flat. And that was really the only addition to what I had presented the last time. So this time I'm going to ask the board if they will approve our 21-22 budget.
We'll think about it. Any questions or comments from the board?
Can I just ask why you think we're going to increase by 10 students every year?
You know, I spoken to just our other districts in the county. We have, as a county, substantially lost kids. Our enrollment is already kind of going back up for where we were at our lowest point, which is an encouraging sign. And honestly, increasing the enrollment by 10 students every year doesn't have an impact on the budget. What has the impact is the ADA. So even with the projected increase in enrollment, we still are not receiving any additional funding at this time. I'm not going to lie, it's a little hope. my heart really is we're going to get those kids back slowly, but I'm hoping we're going to get them back.
Well, I think independent study is going to make a big difference too, right? You know, I mean, we have the 10 kids that are in the seats, but independent studies, I think, might get a few more, don't you think? You think?
I think
Opal Cliffs. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt,
Yeah.
Michelle. Go ahead.
No. You were going to say exactly what I was going to say. I think our Opal Cliffs program.
Right.
What we want to grow. Yeah.
Yeah. Opal Cliffs will make sure that those families that want an alternative setting have it. But I think one of the big things Michelle is alluding to is that just from the time we went back full in person, or 5 days a week in person, 30 of our students came back from different, either from charters, privates, homeschool, other settings that they had chosen. So, you know,
Oh, really? Okay.
It's not completely just hopeful. I think there's some logic in there that the further we get away from COVID, or maybe we never get away from it, but the further we get closer to normal, more and more families come back to us that we lost during that period.
Okay. Phil.
So following what Ted said about independent study, so is there a restriction that limits the district to only have independent study students from within our district, or can they be from outside of our district? or a county?
I think any of the three of us can take an answer to that, but I'll go, and Michelle or Jessica can add in. No, a student can be on inter-district transfer and be on independent study. So no, there's nothing precluding that.
Okay, and then my second question is, after the trailer bills, are we gonna have to like redo the budget again? Because there's gonna be multi-year stuff in there, right?
Yes, and by law, we would have to do a 45-day revision to the budget. That is only the case if we're adversely affected by the adopted budget, and we won't be. I can't foresee any of what's they're talking about now going to affect us adversely. It could only enhance everything. So I can, if the board would like, bring a 45-day update with the enhancements, but it isn't required to bring those to the board until first interim. But honestly, you will get an audited actuals and updated component to that as that works in the timeline.
Great. Anybody else? Not? Anything from the public?
Nothing on tech.
Nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
Okay, well, since we've only gone 45 minutes, should we sit here and wait for another hour and a half? Just kidding. Anyways, all right. Is there a motion to approve the adopted budget for Soquel Elementary School District for 21-22?
I'll make the motion, Carolyn.
Is there a second?
Excuse me, I'll make the second, Amanda.
All right, just first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence we want to submit?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay, I think it's been kind of quiet. Any future agenda items?
Yeah, I'm going to call myself out on one because I mentioned it to you and Scott, Ted, but then I haven't done my piece that I said I would follow through, so I'll say it now. I'm interested in us having an agenda item where we offer sort of a recognition, where we do some kind of commendation for the city of Capitola and Capitola Recreation for the incredible partnership and programming that they've brought to our community during COVID-19, the out of school time program, the summer school partnership that they're doing now. I mean, it's just been amazing to see what they've done. So I know I mentioned it earlier and thought that I would write up a resolution, and I haven't gotten that done, but I think it would be a wonderful thing for us to do in the fall if we could do it then.
That's a great idea. And thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, resolutions, you should have the kids do it.
I have someone who's not going to college until mid-September. So yeah, we'll work on it over at the Miller household for sure.
I think that's great. That's a great request there. Anybody else? If not, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move.
Yep. Second.
Okay, is there a second? Amanda, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, gang, that's it. I call
All
the
right.
meeting.
Everybody stay safe.
We'll see you
Thank
July
you.
14th. Thank you, George, for hopping in, and Linda and